Salam, welcome to the Kingdom of Bahrain. Now I've got a bit of time to explore the city today and I'm curious, what makes this small country in the middle of the Gulf different from the rest of its neighbors? Let's go find out. So it only opens when it's prayer time?
12:30, 12:35 like this open.
As we made our way to the first destination of the day, I couldn't help but be excited by all of the new sights and sounds around me in my first time in this new country. I mean, there was a building with a wind turbine in it. But our first stop was to look at a much more historic building, the Al Fateh Grand Mosque. Alright, we're starting the day here at the beautiful Al Fateh Grand Mosque, biggest mosque in Bahrain. It's just about prayer hour, so let's go inside and check it out. At 6,500 square meters large, the Al Fateh Grand Mosque is one of Bahrain's premier attractions. Making my way inside, I was struck by the serenity of the place. Prayer hour was supposed to start very soon, and I was a little bit surprised that I was invited cordially into the mosque for a tour.
See the writing in the dome? This is some Quranic scriptures. Okay, please feel free to ask any question. Here, you don't have a chance to ask outside, but here, open heart, you can ask me any question.
What would you say is the most distinctive part of Al Fateh here in Bahrain?
You see a lot of colors, the natural color you find here. Allahu Akbar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. See, I was not even shouting, medium, but you can note that this has acoustic effect.
Yes.
The voice can reach every corner of the mosque.
Very strong. As the call to prayer was sounded, we stepped back outside as the day's worshippers congregated at the mosque. And then our tour guide Ahmed invited me to the second floor to observe the prayer, which I was very honored by. I've been welcomed very warmly here at the Al Fateh Mosque. I walked in and the tour guide immediately started offering a free tour, and it's prayer hour now, so I've been invited up to the balcony to observe. Let's step in, but we do need to be quiet. From the second story, the mosque's interior looked even more beautiful, including what turns out to be the world's largest fiberglass dome. And as the worshippers gathered for their prayer, it was a moment for quiet reflection as an observer from the balcony. Overall, it was a humbling and eye-opening experience here visiting the Al Fateh Grand Mosque, and I felt very welcomed on my first day here in Bahrain by the locals. After starting out the day at the Grand Mosque, it was then time to head to some of the souks or markets of the city, starting with the new souk followed by the old one. And yes, on this visit to Bahrain, I decided to make use of the age-old traveler tactic of paying my Uber driver to be my tour guide for the day. So what's the biggest difference in Bahrain?
Friendly people.
Friendly people? I see. Okay, we're here at Muharraq Souk, and it's supposed to be the newer souk, but it hasn't got quite as much character to it. So I think after this, we're gonna head to the old souk over at Bab Al Bahrain to check that one out. Muharraq Souk isn't necessarily not interesting, but it's clearly a little bit more built up as the newer market in town, and many of the stalls happen to be closed on our visit during the lunchtime hour, so maybe consider coming by at a different time if you'd like to check out the shops. We took a detour through some of the fancier parts of town, swinging through some of the skyscrapers and luxury hotels, before arriving at Bab Al Bahrain, or Bahrain Fort as it's known in English. Bahrain Fort is on the surface a garrison built by the Portuguese when they were here in the mid-16th century, but actually its history goes much deeper than that. Now, given Bahrain's strategic location as an island smack dab in the middle of the Arabian Gulf, you can kind of understand why the world's great powers, in this case the Portuguese and later on the British as well, all wanted a piece of it. Now, this site is actually home to many different layers of civilization here in Bahrain. Down here in the bottom, you've got the ancient Dilmun civilization from 2,300 years BC, and up top there's the Portuguese fort from much more recently. It's certainly worth a visit to Bab Al Bahrain in order to contemplate the history of the land if you're ever in this part of the world. It's been pretty awesome to check out the mosques, souks, and forts here in Bahrain. However, they do kind of remind me of what I've seen in Qatar, Dubai, and Oman. So my question now is, what can we find here in this small but interesting country that we can't find anywhere else. And for that, we're gonna head out to the desert. But first, it's time for lunch. I told Pavaz, our Uber driver, that I'd like to try some authentic Bahraini food that he likes to eat. So we are at this Bahraini fast food place called Al Romancia, and we've got our own little room to eat lunch on the ground. Actually, this is kind of wild. They've just given us the VIP room here at Al Romancia for us to enjoy our lunch in this huge room. This was yet another installment in the incredible hospitality that I received as a visitor here in Bahrain, not to mention the unbelievable amount of food that we got. This is a lot of food. Even now, I'm not sure if we accidentally ordered 2 of the jumbo plates as a misunderstanding, or as Pavaz believes, they just gave us extra food because they saw that I was a visitor and I was making a video. So obviously we had ordered way too much food due to a bit of a misunderstanding, and now there's a bunch of leftovers for Pavaz, our Uber driver, to take home. With an evening departure out of Bahrain that night, we had just enough time to take an excursion out into the desert. We're looking for one of Bahrain's top attractions, the Tree of Life. We've rolled out here to the deserts of Bahrain, 30 minutes outside Manama, for one of the country's most famous attractions. It's right there, the Tree of Life. This is a 400-year-old tree that's growing all on its lonesome in the middle of the desert, but no doubt it's an extremely striking and serene place to wander through. I thought the Tree of Life was a fitting symbol for Bahrain itself, a welcoming place with an emphasis on living well and being at one with nature, and a small but strong and unique force in a set of surroundings that can at times be harsh. This tree is 400 years old. It's not really clear how it survives. It's the only major tree growing in this entire desert area. Bahrain, out here in your desert, we found something special. As we headed back to the city, past the sprawling oil fields and impressive structures like palaces and prisons, it was time to make one last stop at the old souk Bab Al Bahrain. We finally made it to Bab Al Bahrain over here. It's the center of old Bahrain, and inside is a series of old souks, marketplaces, stalls, lots of things to see. Let's go take a look before it's time to say goodbye to Bahrain. The souk at Bab Al Bahrain reminded me a little bit of Dira in Dubai or Souk Waqif in Doha, a place where you can buy anything and everything from jewelry to spices. If I had more time here, I'd love to have gone on a bit of a shopping spree. But sadly, I did have an evening departure for my onward journey lined up, so it was time to hit the road again, past that striking building with the wind turbines. Just like in all the Gulf countries, there's some interesting buildings here in Bahrain, like this Twizzler building right over there. And head to the airport, wrapping up my time in this small but very interesting Gulf state. I've really enjoyed my time here in Bahrain, in no small part thanks to our friend Pavaz over here. If you guys come to Bahrain, make sure to get him for a ride. Hit me up for his contact details. But otherwise, now that you've seen what Bahrain has to offer, I'm sure you're curious, what does Bahrain's national airline, Gulf Air, has to offer on board in business class? Go ahead and check out this video right here to find out the Gulf Air business class experience on your way to Bahrain on a future trip.